Let's explore how you choose stitches, change their stitch width, needle position, and stitch length, and other basics about using the sewing machine. First off, when you put your fabric underneath the foot, if both the threads are underneath the foot and somewhere between 9 o'clock, off to the left side here, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, or straight out the back, and when you start sewing, and after you've lowered down the presser foot, you do not need to hold these threads when you start to sew. As long as the needle lands in fabric first, that is key for that stitch to start off with, and you don't have to hold the threads. Isn't that nice? Now, when you set up or turned on the machine, you're going to get to a straight stitch, which says stitch number 1, and a stitch length of just above 2 millimeters. So you have millimeters for length and millimeters for width. And you'll get used to those. They're not hard to kind of learn where things need to be set. There's also a blinking light. So if we made the stitch length longer, which are these buttons here, I take it up to a 3 millimeter length, that would be for heavier fabrics. You want a little longer stitch to help go through the thicknesses. It leaves a blinking place of where normal is. And if I'd like to go back to normal, there is a clear button down here on the lower corner. When I push clear, it returns back to where it started. And I can change the length while I'm sewing. So if I go ahead and try to figure out what's really going to look best on my project, I can run that all the way up to its longest setting at 5 or back down as close to 0 as possible. Now, if you get to 0, you're really not going very far, very fast. So don't stay there too long. And you can always push clear and it'll get you back to where you started. When you get to the end of your fabric, you have a reverse button for securing right at the tip of your thumb or finger, whichever you want to use. As you hold it in, we'll go back in the exact same holes until you let go of it and it will continue forward. With the needle stopping up, that makes it really easy to go ahead and pull your fabric out. And if you take your threads from front to back, that's going to cut the threads, and do you notice it's going to hold the threads kind of up and out of the way. So then when you go to start again, you really just need to put your foot down and step on the foot control to start sewing. To pick different stitches, we're going to, for example, pick stitch number 2. That's the zigzag. We get a new length for recommendation and now a width as it brings us across. We'll just start to stitch the settings here, and we can see how wide the Bernina will stitch. It's up to 5.5 millimeters wide. And then we can make that stitch longer or shorter. Again, changing it while we're sewing is perfect because then you can really get it just right. For example, if I go ahead and make this all the way down right above 0 on your machine, you're going to see some hash marks in the stitch length area. That's kind of indicating satin stitch. And you can bring that stitch length down close enough so it really makes for a pretty satin stitch. Let me show you what that is and get a nice stitch out here. I'll stop with the needle up. See how pretty this is? When you bring it close enough together and your stitches are solid, that is a satin stitch. You can use that around an applique and really secure the raw edges of a project. When you are finished and you want to go back to a straight stitch, you don't need to clear out anything. All you need to do is select stitch number 1, and you'll go right back to whatever settings it was last set at. Once again, you're ready to go. Let's talk about stopping with the needle in the fabric, so in the down position. So the picture right here indicates the needle has been stopping in the up position. Push this button right below the screen, and that needle and the arrow now points down. Now when I stitch and I stop, the needle's in the fabric. Lift up your foot, turn your fabric, and you can now easily turn corners without having any stitches moved. And did you notice I have not touched the hand wheel off to the side yet for anything I've needed to do? And I'm going to lift, turn another corner, making it really easy to get around your project. When you're done, you can do 2 things. You can turn the hand wheel, but if you're going to turn the hand wheel here, what you need to do is look inside here and make sure the take-up lever comes up to the highest position when you're done. That's very important, so when you start off sewing again, you don't have to hold those threads and you have completed the stitch that's currently at. When you bring that all the way up, then it's ready to be having the fabric taken out. What I like to do, instead of turning the hand wheel, is stop with the needle in the down position, touch and hold this same needle button on the front of the machine for 2 seconds. Watch. 1, 2. It brings the needle up but the picture on screen sets it back to stop in the down position. So next time I go to sew, it's going to continue and stop in the down position. I like the down position when I'm working on a bulky project, large project, because then as I move the fabric into position, I don't lose that last stitch that I'm actually stitching on. So that's real important. Okay, here's one other thing. We've done stitch length. We've done stitch width. Now let's talk needle position. You'll notice right underneath the numbers for the stitch width, there is a row of dots. As you move the needle to the right, that dot is highlighted across the way. So now when I start to sew, did you notice the needle is in the fabric? And it doesn't matter, not until this stitch comes all the way up, does that needle move to the far right needle position. This is great for putting zippers in, doing top stitching, and you can, once again, change it as you go. You have quite a few needle positions. Let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on this machine, all the way from right to left. And then if I just want to get it back to center quickly, touch clear. That will get you right back to where you need. Another item on your screen is the presser foot, and it has a number by it. So if I pick a stitch, for example, stitch number 3 is a very overlock stitch, and it's going to recommend foot number 2. Now, this is a foot that actually does not come with this model because you are set up more for a quilting machine with other accessories. So this foot is an option for you to purchase, but the machine will tell you which foot is best for that particular stitch. You can use your regular standard foot number 1. It's not the best foot, but it is and will work for that stitch. Now, if you ever touch the reverse button 2 times quickly, you're going to notice the same symbol as the reverse button on your screen. And when you start to sew, it's going to sew backwards for you without you doing anything. So that's a way to, if your project is big and bulky and you can't keep your hand on the reverse button, if you tap it 2 times, it will then set it to sew backwards, and then to release that or tell it to go forward again, tap it 2 times quickly, and that will then allow you to sew forward again. I've had calls where my machine is sewing backwards. Well, also turning the machine off and on will fix that problem as well. Now, you also have a speed control here. Now, this is set up for when you want to sew without your foot control. And you can do this even without unplugging it, but just so you can get the idea, I'm going to unplug my foot control, and I'm going to set it all the way at minus at the slowest speed so it doesn't run away from me when I start to stitch. This button right here is a start-stop button. As I push it, the machine is going to start to sew. I am not doing anything because my foot control is unplugged. And I can speed it up or slow it down. Just keep in mind where that stop button is, and it will stop as soon as you touch it. So if you ever get somewhere and you forget your foot control, you can at least sew and then find yourself a speed that works well for your project. I like to have it at the minus sign when I am getting started, and then bump it up to the speed I need it to be. Yet have my finger ready to stop it as soon as I need to do it. You can use the reverse button as you need, and then come up here and turn it off. So nice to have those features right at your machine, and keep it at minus until you need it.